Hi, hello, and welcome to Something from the Shed. And in today's video, I'm going to be turning the last of my French oak spare change bowls. And this one is going to a very special person who reached out to me and did something absolutely outstanding and something that I never expected, to be fair. I hope you like it when you see it at the end of the video, and more to the point, I hope you like it when you receive it in the post, mate. So I'm going to flip the camera around now and show you where I'm up to and what I'm actually going to do with this bowl. Right, so I've took the bowl off the faceplate now and I've flipped it over to the chuck, and I'm gouging out the middle of the bowl, hoping to reveal the surprise. I'm using a series of push cuts and a series of pull cuts. As for the other side of the bowl, guys, when it was on the faceplate, there really wasn't much to it. I just took a big square chunk of piece of wood, turned it round, put a little profile on it that I was happy with, and then decided to film the rest. So unfortunately, guys, due to my lack of experience in camera positioning, this part of the video was just my big fat head in the way of the camera. All you could see was the back of my head in front of the camera, so I removed it from the final video. Sorry guys, my mistake, but we live and learn. So here it is, guys, the laborious stage of sanding. It's just laborious. Lots of sanding through the different grits, right from 80 to get rid of that tear out, right the way up to 4, 5, maybe even 600 grit if you guys go that far. I've done it a couple of times. I've gone up to 600 grit sometimes, but that's only if I'm working on a really nice piece. I have heard a lot of people say that they don't like the sanding period. They actually think it's boring and it goes on and on and on. But I actually don't. I don't mind the sanding, but I think a lot of people underestimate it because you can change ever so slightly, but you can change the detail in your workpiece through the sanding process. If you're using a very coarse grit like 80 grit, maybe even 120, if you're doing, you only want to make a few light changes, you can do that through the sanding process. You can take out a little bit of a bump that you might have thought was a nice detail, but when you stop the lathe, it really wasn't. So you could use the sanding process to remove that, or you could actually use it again to, if you have a flat spot and you want to add a little bit of a curve, but you've already took your tool rest away and everything, you can actually use the sandpaper to add a little bit of a curve. If you've got scrapers or parting tools or anything like that that you can use to add lines in your workpiece when your tool rest is down, you can do that and then use the sandpaper to refine those lines and make them wider, make them softer, or just leave them sharp if you want to. That's totally up to you. But the sanding process is definitely one not to be ignored, and I'm learning a lot about sanding and I'm not ignoring it at all. So here it is. I've fast forwarded through all the sanding, and all I'm doing now is I'm applying a generous amount of coats of boiled linseed oil. I think in total there was about 10 coats of boiled linseed oil on the inside, and that is just because I wanted the whole thing to soak it right up, and I just wanted every part of that bowl and the surprise inside to just pop and go, hey, look at me, look at my features, look at my grain, and look at the surprise in the middle. That's all I wanted to do here, so that's why I'm taking my time and adding lots and lots of boiled linseed oil. So when I'd finished adding the boiled linseed oil, what I did was I took 2 or 3 paper towels, scrunched them up quite a bit, and applied a lot of pressure to the inside of the bowl, to really heat it up, to build up some friction and to get the workpiece nice and hot, so that would give, hopefully, a good chance of the boiled linseed oil being soaked right into the grain because it was hot, hoping that it would get a little bit soft or a little bit suppler and just help it grab on to that grain and make everything pop at the end. This is the final step for me. And what I'm doing is I'm grabbing some paper towels just there, I'm folding them up and I'm dipping it in some skip wax. I got this skip wax off a nice gentleman at Makers Central 19. But what you can't see me doing here is you can't see me applying a lot of pressure. You can't see the amount of pressure I'm applying to the workpiece with this wax on. And what I'm doing is I'm applying the pressure to build up some friction so that the workpiece heats up and melts the wax. Now my theory is wax melts at a certain temperature. If I can get the workpiece hot enough to melt the wax, hopefully it'll soak it up. Hopefully the grain or the pores or whatever you want to call them will open up a little bit when the workpiece gets hot and soaks up that wax a little bit more. Because after all, this workpiece has been sanded up to 600 grit, so I know that it is, it is baby bum smooth. It is really smooth. Now, if I can get that nice and hot and just open up those little grain fibers a little bit so that that wax melts and heats up and goes into them fibers, I know this bowl is going to look absolutely stunning when it's finished. So this is it, guys, the final step. I've got my last paper towel and I'm just wiping off any of the excess. Again, building that friction up just to get it nice and hot and let it soak everything up. Time for me to stop the lathe and have a look at this workpiece, guys. Wait for it.
Oh, wow. Couple of tool marks in the middle there because I struggle to get the, you can't see it because of the blur, but I struggle to get the centre as good as I'd like it to be, but that is just gorgeous. Wow. I'll switch that light back on again. Just have a quick look at that. Wow. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Right, so I'm gonna get this off the lathe and clear up a little bit. Right, so I've took it off the lathe and this is how it's turned out, and I should have learned by my mistakes and sanded the back while I still had it mounted to the faceplate. But I didn't, so I'm going to learn from that one for the next one. You can't see how close I was to the surprise from the back. I think maybe because the dye has hidden the spots. Now there's one. You might just be able to see it. There's one or two little spots there on how close I was. But this is the finished product. This is French oak here with skip wax on, buffed to a nice finish. The edge is nice and soft now. I didn't want to make it too soft so it was round. I just took that sharp edge off. The inside is done with boiled linseed oil, and this is the surprise that I've been going on about. I hope you like this, mate. This is your loose change French oak bowl. So there you go. If you haven't guessed it by now, this bowl is going to a Mr. Stephen Gibson. Thank you very much for what you did for me, my friend. That means an awful lot. This is, for now, just a token of my appreciation, mate. Thank you very much for watching the video, guys. I know it's been a bit of a long one, but I wanted to make my first major premiere, and this is it. You know, I wanted to make it exciting, so that's why I've kept the blur over the initials and everything. Any questions, leave them down in the comments, guys. Thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.